Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. You know you are welcome anytime. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 7th Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. We're here to grow in our journey together. I'm Milan Starcic, and this is Andrew Normand, and our guest today is Wendee Brumwell. We're three souls on the path of recovery with a desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Wendee?
Sure. I came into oh God. I came into recovery when I was 28 years old because of domestic violence. I stayed clean for 32 years. I went through a lot of illness in recovery. I had hepatitis C and went through that. I had kids that went through it with me. My daughter was 10 when I got clean and 18 months old. And, I ended up getting hit by a semi truck when I had 14 years clean and struggled not to have surgeries and for like 7 years, and then ended up having 7 surgeries that I fought so hard not to have. But I ended up to the point where I couldn't walk anymore 7 years later. And so I finally had to have a back surgery. And the 7 surgeries later came to like around 2020. And, when 2020 happened, my world shifted. I was so used to being of service. I'd been doing a lot of hospitals and institutions. I was in the jails doing volunteer work with the women for 30 years, and I had to give that up. I was working with the women and they were getting younger, all the women, and I thought, it's time for somebody else to volunteer. And I cried letting go of that commitment. It hurt me, but it was time for other people to step up and do that. And I was sponsoring a lot of women and doing the conventions and doing unity days. There was a time when I was doing a convention commitment and I was up on the stage, and there was, and all this time I was doing mental health issues. I was going to see psychiatrists and getting help for myself. And I was at this convention one time, and I was up on the stage and I was reading off this format, and I remember being out of my body, looking out at the audience, and I didn't see anybody. And I went to sit back down. I remember hugging both women that spoke, and I sat back down, and I was working on this convention. And the only thing that I really remember is that there was a newcomer that had a sheet that needed to be signed, and she forgot her sheet. And she called me on the phone asking me where her sheet was. And that brought me back to that moment. And I told my sponsor about this, and I told some other women, and I got help for myself. And I told some ladies that were close to me what had happened, and they just looked at me really funny. And I went and got help for myself. I went to the doctors. I went and they did a scan of my neck and they did a scan of my head. And finally, the therapist told me it was called dissociative amnesia. It was really, I was running myself ragged, and by the time 2020 happened, I was doing so much for the fellowship and not enough for myself. And my daughter got pregnant with twins at that time and was on bed rest, and I was helping her and not helping myself. And I wasn't filling up my cup, and, spiritually and mentally, emotionally, or physically, and I relapsed. And it was cunning and baffling how it happened. And I'm not going to go into the details of that, but when COVID happened, I did not like doing something like this. This is very uncomfortable for me to have my face on a camera. I have mixed feelings about doing this, But what I can tell you is that I need to save my life. You know, I'm back in the program. I'm working my steps. I have a sponsor. I help others. I do what I need to stay clean because I know I could die. What brought me back to the program is that another addict kept seeing me at different places, like down near the river, doing things I shouldn't be doing. One of our members nearby had jumped off a local bridge and killed himself that was married. And then another member was at a park and used the exhaust pipe in his car. He was married also and died. And by that time, I ended up going to my local mental health department and I got help for post-traumatic stress. And I was on Zoom getting help for myself. And that's what brought me back to Narcotics Anonymous. And so I was doing that for 5 months and I was really isolated to my house. There's a word for it, agoraphobic or something. I wouldn't go out. I was Instacarting food to my house. I was in my backyard with my dogs. I didn't want to leave my backyard. And I'm an outgoing person. I'm like this person that goes to conventions. I hug everybody. This is how I used to be. And I got to the place where there was no way I'd come back to any 12-step program because of my ego. My ego was shot to the curb. I said, fuck no, I'd never come back. And then at 5 months of doing this PTSD work with this therapist, a sponsee of an ex-sponsee of mine texted me and said, I'm on your porch. Are you going to come out? And I went out to the porch and she asked me, are we going to a meeting or what? And I said, no. I said, F no. And she goes, well, let's go get our nails done. And she worked in treatment. And so we went and got our nails and toes done. And I promised we'd go to a meeting in a week. And I did. And she set it up. All my old sponsees were at that meeting. And they loved on me that day. And I've been back ever since. Sorry for my dog.
That's amazing.
I've got 2 dogs here, so don't be surprised when you hear mine bark.
They've interrupted a couple times. It's okay.
Yeah. So I've been back ever since. I host 2 different meetings on Zoom now. I'm present in-person meetings. So I do about 50-50, maybe a little more on Zoom, depending if I feel like it. You know, I pop in
my home group,
and I pop in wherever the hell I want, you know, depending on if there's a marathon going on or not. And I'm of service when I'm needed. And you know, I'm on my steps 7 right now. I'm doing that on Tuesday with my sponsor that has the same year that I got clean in 88. And I just had a brand new great-granddaughter, you know, and I got to hold her on Thanksgiving. And my life is going good. I have a future, you know, that I didn't think I was gonna, you know, and it's all because I came back. You know, I'm not stuck in my backyard no more unless I want to be. You know, I do go out now and I have conventions I'm going to and, you know, women's gatherings and, you know, Christmas stuff going on at the old sponsees, having one next weekend. And I'm so grateful for her for bringing me back.
I was literally in tears with you right there when you hit that point of the meeting where your sponsees were all there. My gosh, what a fabulous story of redemption, though. Honestly, um, I wanna go way back with you, Wendee. When you first entered the program, way back, not this time, but the very start. And I ask this question to everybody because I feel that it's kind of could have some relevance to some people when they're just starting out in the program. Is that what was the pivotal moment when the program sparked a recovery fire in your heart? Way back the first time, not this room. We'll come back to now in just a little bit. But I wouldn't mind time traveling back in time if you would.
When I when I was in the program and I did my first fifth step with the clergy, because my husband had hung himself, and I had to write a letter to him saying the things I needed to say to him about my oldest daughter, to let go of that guilt about me being responsible for his death. And that's my oldest daughter that is now 47, because I felt that's what gave me the fire to stay clean all that time.
And when you wrote that letter, was there some sort of pink cloud that came about, some sort of immense relief? Like, can you describe the sensation that occurred inside that time? Just
Oh, hell yeah. I felt like it was my fault that he took his life. And then I wanted, I was so angry at him that he took his life, and that my daughter had no father. And then I wanted to soak in all the information the program had for me. And then that was about the time I had to leave that program. And I just was scared to death to go home. And the best thing they told me was, if you see people on the streets, tell them, guess what? I got 50 days clean, before they got a chance to tell you, I got this bag. Say, guess what? I've been clean this long, before they get a chance to say something else.
be preemptive.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And so coming back now to what you were just speaking of, the topic you chose today was mental health and recovery. Can you explain what that means to you and why you chose and why you want to talk about them today?
Well, the importance of that to me is that back a long time ago, it wasn't talked about. I think a lot of mine had to do with my family dynamics. Um, my aunt went psycho when she went through menopause. And I think that when I got older, I probably had some hormone imbalance as well. But my mom had so much sexual shame connected to that I didn't know what was going on with me as well. And because of the program, back in those days, mental illness was not discussed, and not, I think we didn't know enough about mental health as well. And it was an outside issue. We always said this outside issue stuff, but really anything that takes you away from your recovery is an inside job. If you're hurting and it has something to do with mental health in your recovery, we now have literature about that, so it's safe to discuss. And I think it's very valid for us to talk about anything related to that, and don't think it's an outside issue. The program teaches us we need to talk about whatever is going on
Mhm.
with us.
Well, and I think, when you were saying that people didn't know about it as much in the past, it's not only that, is that there was a bigger stigmatism to it than there is now. Like,
Exactly.
like people can hold jobs now and maybe go on mental or stress leave. And, like that wasn't offered in the 80s, not
Right.
People
hardly.
would just chalk you up as you're crazy. They chalk you up as
It,
you're crazy, and it's like,
literally family members would be signing you into an institute in
yep, done.
Canada, and
Yes.
and that's as unfortunate as it was, at least things have come to somewhere now, and I believe
Yeah,
that the awareness, there still is not, at least in Canada, there's just not the infrastructure to support it here, like at all. Like, you're you really, you have to be so far, like in a disassociative state, for there to be really any safety net for you in
and
Canada.
out of money and out of resources and all that stuff. And at
Well,
that
exactly.
point,
You have to be pretty much committing a crime, and they would only be
yeah,
helping you if it's a choice of prison or helping you. You
yeah,
know.
and
Right.
I feel like it's getting a little better on in the States, at least. Wendy, it's
Hmm.
starting to roll into the mainstream of it being a very important thing that everybody talks about, whether you're in recovery or not. And then
Hmm.
that kind of leads us like into the recovery aspect of it, and the addiction aspect of it. And a lot of people think like addiction is a mental disease, like it's a mental illness, right? It's two, like what's one in it's the same, right? But it says right here, and then it'll lead me into my question I want to ask you. So serious illness or surgery, this is out of the basic text, more will be revealed. Serious illness or surgery can present a particular problem for us. Physicians should have specific knowledge of our addiction. Remember that we, not our doctors, are ultimately responsible for our recovery and our decisions. To minimize the danger, there are few specific options we may consider: using local anesthesia, avoiding our drug of choice, stopping drug use while we are still hurting, and spending extra days in the hospital in case withdrawals occurs. And it says, whatever pain we experience will pass. I know you've run into this in your recovery where you got hit by a truck. You've had a lot of things come up.
Mhm.
And that might lead into maybe what has happened to you recently. But like, can you kind of expand on how that has come into your recovery, where you're dealing with that kind of thing, and how you've dealt with it, and what comes to mind when I say that?
Well, to me, if somebody has to deal with stuff like that, I think it's between their higher power, their doctor, their sponsor, and themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not the doctors in either fellowship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I ever had to deal with that, I would have somebody else hold it. I don't think it's what gets me uncomfortable is when people are naming medications in meetings or whatever. I think that gets kind of uncomfortable. Like I don't like name dropping of anything, whether it is street drugs or medicine in a meeting of any kind. You know what I mean? It just gets kind of uncomfortable. Anytime that, because I had a surgery, I just don't like anything by mouth, because I know that it's just a trigger for me, whether it be chocolate or a pill. I just
In that surgery, did you tell that they knew about your addiction, and you were like,
Oh
"Hey,
yeah.
yeah," and that you knew that kind of going into it. They all knew that, and
Yeah,
you,
I'd always
yeah.
bring somebody with me.
How did they handle it? Were they like, "Oh," like when you tell them that, do they go about the whole process different? Like, how does that work? Like,
Yeah, and I worked with what do you call it? We have addiction medicine department,
okay,
Yeah, and they'll say, "Oh, bring your pills in and we'll count them and whatever."
okay,
I mean,
okay,
it's very, oh,
yeah,
let's see,
but it's
bring them all.
necessary.
Yeah. I mean, oh, you're not dumping them down the sink. You bring the bottle here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Use them for 3 days and bring it here or whatever,
yeah.
That's like my girlfriend the day we used to have when I got hit by the semi truck that day. I was in my body was just spazzing. Like it was like felt like I was in such shock that day. But my body felt like egg beaters or whatever, like the spinning. It was just like all over my body that day. And I got on, there was in 2001, there was a NA Way on AOL. It was a chat room. We didn't have Zoom, but we had a chat room where people were from all over. It's called NA Way. And I got on there, and my girlfriend that was a nurse, she's passed away now from cancer, but she was on there. And I said, I just got hit by a semi truck. And she said, get off the cross. She goes, did they give you a prescription? And I said, yes. I didn't even look at what it was. I didn't, because I didn't feel
Yeah,
no pain. I was numb.
yeah.
She said, get off the cross. We need the wood. like I
My
would,
gosh.
like I,
Wow.
like I was God or
Oh
something.
my gosh.
Because she was a nurse and she thought that maybe I needed something, but I didn't even look at what it was, because my body was just like in shock. But I was dating a guy where it happened in Laughlin, Nevada, and he got me to a chiropractor that day and every day after. And I just started getting worked on, for the treatment, like my
Yeah,
neck, my lower back, everything, because I was doing alternative.
that's what it mentions in here, and that's what you're talking on. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What
Hmm.
about you, Milan? Have you ever run into that, like where you get hurt or get hospitalized or have something happened where you were prescribed something, or maybe?
So when I was 29, I had back surgery. I wasn't in the program at all yet, but I had a really bad after reaction to when they tried to give me the intravenous drug afterwards. So I made them stop within like 4 hours of my surgery. And after that, I didn't take anything else for it. I just, I just kind of cold turkeyed it because everything was kind of an opiate derivative that they were offering. It was like morphine or oxy or whatever, all these things. And so I felt that had a pretty strong tolerance for pain. If I can, have the aftermath of back surgery and not deal with it, because my pre-back surgery, it was so acute that twice I couldn't walk for 2.5 to 3.5 weeks, like, and not because I couldn't try, like it was like complete short circuit of maximum level pain if I would put any pressure downwards and I would just collapse. And so this year, in recovery, I got some stem cells done to my shoulders and my hands and my right knee because I tore my meniscus in February. As a birthday present, my mother funded my stem cells. I was bone marrow and fat graft, and so on the
Wow.
on the first round, um, I didn't take any of the pain medication that they offered. It was like they don't offer you like days and days of something. They offer you like 3 or 4 pills to get you through
Yep.
the night.
Yep.
And anyway, that was it was never my DOC to begin with. Like I was always sort of an upper person versus a downer person. And for the first round, I did not take any of them. And it was what I realized was is somebody should have asked me for the wood because I was up on this cross, like dying for no reason. Like I wasn't like nobody was getting into heaven on my carcass that day. It really was, it really was stupid. Like, and so on the second round, I took those 3 pills. I didn't get high, but I did end up not being in screaming level pain trying to go down my stairs that day.
Yeah.
And then they were done, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I, for myself, if anybody wants to out there mentally reset my clean date, that's your problem because I'm not, because it wasn't my DOC, like I'm just saying that, it's definitely something that I feel that there is a strange judgment about out
There
there.
is. It's huge. It's
It-
huge. It's
It's
huge.
and
It's a
you know what?
misconception. Big
The, the
misconception.
the reality is that guess what? You're smoking a cigarette to calm yourself down. You're
Or
having a
drinking a cup
coffee,
of
or
coffee.
you're
Yeah.
having a coffee to wake up.
Yeah.
Like that, like 90% of what you consume, it's going to have a physiological effect on you.
And it
So,
says in the literature, as long as you're take it as prescribed, you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing
yeah,
that you're doing wrong. A lot of people
yeah,
come in and go, I have to like freak out and go through pain. No, if you just read the books, read the literature, you'll find
yeah,
out that
yeah.
it's not a big deal. It's not a big
I,
deal.
I wasn't using it for an amusement park ride. I was
Exactly.
using it. I was using like I was using it to physically be able to stand up or
And
grab
as
a
you get
glass of
more in
water.
touch with you and yourself and your higher power, man, you'll feel if you're doing something wrong or not with that, right? If you have it in your hands and you're doing it
It
wrong, and
was
when you're
not a
doing it,
dance with. It was not a
exactly.
dance with partying for me. So anyway, yeah. And what about you, Andrew? You've got an
Um,
experience inside that?
well, yeah, I mean, I guess since I've gotten clean, that's a great. I wasn't even gonna. Y'all spun it on me. I didn't even think about my answer to that. I'm glad you asked me that. I'm glad you asked me that. So I leading up to that, I had been on anti anxiety medication and things for years, leading into this process, because I'd had bad anxiety for a long time. Um, and I was just doing a lot of drugs, man. I was doing a whole lot of drugs, so I couldn't deal with my emotions. I would find myself waking up in the morning, and I don't know if you know that utter despair of and desperation, and it's really depression. It's that depression where you wake up and nobody's next to you. You don't have any hope for the day. You're just going through the motions, and maybe you have enough drugs for the day, maybe you don't. Um, And that shit beat me down for so long. And so I was so ass backwards being on drugs and drinking and shit like that, that I didn't really know if I was taking the medication or going to the doctor even for the right reasons or not. My head was so spun up that at the beginning I was kind of going because it was easier to go to a doctor and just go pay for something that I was using anyways on the streets or whatever. But I was so spun up and just so many using so many uppers, downers, pill. It was just not a good look, man. And I was using with people inside of my family, outside of my family. I was never getting a straight answer from somebody or a straight like, hey, you're doing something right, you're doing something wrong. Um, and so when my body shut down, I could have died that day, right? Like I was on the road going down, down the interstate, and I should have died that day. My truck could have flipped over the bridge, and y'all would have never even known me, right? But when I got into the detox programs and stuff is when I really got in tune with the medication department and aspect as it relates to addiction specifically. And it was a rude awakening for me. I was on a lot of painkillers and things like that. That was my drug of choice. Let's just say that. And they put me on maintenance medication, and that's kind of a whole nother ripple into this thing that is becoming an issue in the rooms and outside of the rooms, right? And there's like these preconceived notions. Some meetings are not letting people talk if they're on maintenance, and they'll not let them speak in a meeting if they're on maintenance medication. I don't even really want to hit on that too much. It saved my life. Maintenance medication Suboxone saved my life. I didn't know how to not feel worthless. I didn't know how to not feel those feelings without being medicated. And I didn't know what like a step down medication thing was. I just didn't know. I had been so go to just get through the day. I have 100% of whatever to get through the day, and then I'm gonna start my day again tomorrow on drugs, right? Or count me out for the day. And so when I finally got the regimen down of like, hey, we're putting you on this for this. This is why we're putting you on certain things. They'll put you on typically when you get clean for the first time, if you're on a lot of drugs for a long time, they'll put you on a general cocktail of like, it's not maintenance medication. It's just like helping you deal with you, regulate, thaw out a little bit, right? And without hurting yourself or somebody else. And then and so that was very important to me early on. It was a little tough, getting off that Suboxone and that step down, because it was like it wraps itself around those pain receptors, so you don't really know. It kind of numbs the whole thing. So it's really hard to come off of something that is not getting you high. And then a lot of people who have never don't have any experience with the maintenance medication, I'll say Suboxone specifically, they just think that it's like because it's labeled as a narcotic that somebody's using because they're on it, and that's not the case. It's not the case. It's prescribed by a doctor. You have to go through a lot of hoops and jump through a lot of hurdles to get that. They drug test you. They make sure you're not on anything else. You have to go see a doctor all the time. It's not just I'm going to the thing to get my script to go get high now. No, it's not like that. And as long as you use it properly, it's saving people's lives. And so I never misused it. They make it really a pain in the ass to get, because there's usually only one or two clinics that specialize in that in the whole area, in areas that are heavily populated even. And so I think it's all set up the way it's supposed to. At least I took it that way, because I didn't really have any other way to take it. I didn't, I was either going to go against the grain, or I was going to like lean into like what they were telling me was working, and it was working so far. And I just followed directions by the doctor, got off of that, and man, it got me clean. I didn't know what I would do without it, with medication and step down programs, whatever it might be for you, but it's necessary for me. So, Wendee, did you have a question maybe you wanted to ask us, or did you want to get into a round discussion with Milan and I? Maybe a question that comes to mind?
Well, it's ironic you mentioned that, because during my relapse, I tried that one time. And I used to judge people on Subox, and it's kind of ironic you mentioned that. But yeah, so anything that I've ever judged people for, I think I have a really open mind to the MAT program now. I mean, I will sponsor women now that I wouldn't sponsor before. You know, I have an open mind to a lot of that. If they're willing to go down in steps, if they're willing to, if they're already lowering their medication, you know, by 5%, or, you know, however the steps go, if they're willing to decrease,
Because some
I'll
people are saying I
sponsor.
might use it the rest of my life. That's not what we're
Yeah,
looking for
no,
here, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If they're already decreasing or something, I'm willing to work with them. But yeah, I was just going to ask you guys, what got you interested in doing podcasts?
Milan, I'm gonna let you start that one, young man.
Yes.
Okay, for me, I've been told for years that I should be doing a music one. I write like this year. I think I'll achieve 1,100 songs written and recorded this year since
I can send
January
you
1st.
300 of them right now if you want me to. They're
But
Are they
badass.
romantic?
They're
No,
awesome.
some of them
Some
are
are,
quite
I
romantic.
some
like
are. They're
romantic.
really good.
Yeah, you know what? Next time I write a romantic one, I'll email it to you for
I'm gonna
sure.
send her some later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, And I was actually going to do a podcast before called Jamming with Milan. And it would be like me here in my studio and have guests come in and we would create something on front of the camera. And that idea just kind of never manifested because now I'm actually distance collaborating with people from around the world. And so we're never in the same room together and the technology's not there to jam over the internet. There's like a lag, technically. So I met this lady in recovery this summer, and she used to do a podcast on intuition.
Hmm.
If she asked me if I would be a guest because she was finally enough in recovery that she was going to restart the podcast, and then her and I began talking about doing a podcast, a recovery podcast together. And then when that wasn't quite manifesting, I just decided I wanted to go ahead with it. Once I had the idea with her, I was like, this is something that I see there being a need to do for people. Like, there's some people that are even too shy to come into a meeting to begin with. And I can picture somebody lying in their bed that first month and just like binge listening to a whole bunch of these podcasts and at least getting an idea of some different topics and some different viewpoints on things and see a wide variety of recovery inside this program and I mean this podcast program, not inside necessarily the 12-step program, but
Hmm.
like you've had a bunch of years, you now have less years. So, there is a redemption story there from you. I had a lady who just celebrated her 7 months on Sunday. We had JJ with 36 years.
Yeah.
And, so what I want
She
to
knows
do is,
JJ.
yeah, and I want to kind of have a very broad slice of because I don't want it to be like something that some newcomer can't relate to. And so my desire overall with the podcast is to kind of create a soft landing space for somebody who just wants to explore more recovery. Like somebody who's not going to treatment, right? Like I had the benefit of going to treatment. Well, it was like taking a 35-day super intensive course.
Right.
Um, and but not everybody has the benefit of the privilege to do that. I mean, there's long waiting lists here in Canada, and the one I went to, you had to pay for it. Now they have some government beds, but
Yeah.
um, I just can't imagine my recovery if I didn't get to go to treatment
Hmm.
because because there was not there just wasn't enough of an explanation of the program. And and I think it's just something like tomorrow morning I'm recording an episode that we're calling Introductory Recovery, and it's like
Hmm.
and me and one of my sponsees are going to talk about what it feels like coming into the room and don't be afraid of this, or what are they doing there? You know, just some
It's
simple
just,
things that, you know,
Mhm.
the in-person meeting I go to every Monday, and I've mentioned it, is they ask at the end that we get up and hold hands and do the Serenity Prayer. Well, guess what? There's no poster of the Serenity Prayer anywhere. Some newcomers like, thank you, acceptance. Like, they don't know. They have no,
yeah.
like, you know, it's like how to make them feel awkward. Don't tell them stuff and make them do it. You know,
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah,
My local meeting, we have all the prayers on the wall. The
boom.
gratitude, the serenity, and the third step prayer.
See,
All of them.
like, don't leave a mystery. Make them feel
Yeah.
Yes.
welcome.
I'll
Give them,
point
Yes.
to them. I'll say it's right
yeah.
there before we close.
Give them a
See,
hug.
I
Give
love
them a
that.
hug. Yeah.
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 Yeah, absolutely. And so for me on the podcast thing, when he came to me with the idea of like helping him out and all that stuff, I know for me, when I was in these rooms, it was very uncomfortable at first. I sat in the back. I just didn't. When people would share, I'm like, why and how are they doing that? Right? I didn't really understand it. There was a
Mhm.
lingo going on. There was a vibe going on that I wasn't a part of.
Innuendo.
Right, right. It's like a lingo. But what I did do is I used to wake up, you know, and in my morning routine, which now I'm in meetings in my morning routine, but I used to throw on podcasts. There's a few specific ones that were really, really important to me. And I would just listen. I would listen to these gentlemen speak and these ladies speak. And then some of these hosts of these podcasts would have specific podcasts where they would say, hey, I'm getting a lot of incoming information where they want to know what my take on the steps is, and then they would go through just a detailed rundown on what their version of the steps were, and
Mhm.
it gave me some relatable a relatable mindset, right? I'm not sitting in the back of this class not knowing what's going on from my perspective. I'm hearing it from the principal, but now I've been listening to it from my peers, right? I've been listening to it from
Mhm.
my peers in this podcast, and it's something I can do any time of the day. I don't have, it's not a set time. I don't have
Mhm.
to go on here to set time. I can bring this up at any time. Like I think Wendee, you listened to one of the podcasts. You were riding to a retreat or something, or to go mess
Yeah.
with Sean, my sponsor, to go interrupt us, my sponsor the other day, and you were
Mhm.
listening to the podcast, right? It's convenient. Anything that is recovery and that can help somebody out, or you can get a message on that's convenient and in your pocket, like I'm all for it. And I know it
Mhm.
played a big part in my recovery. I know a lot of people like you, Milan, you talk about speaker tapes a lot, right?
Mhm.
And
A
I'm
lot.
into speaker tapes because they saved my life. But podcasts are the new speaker tapes. It's nowadays new. It's the new age speaker tapes, because you really just incorporate speaker tapes into these podcasts, and then that's how we get our information now. So if we
Mhm.
can be a part of that, I,
Yeah.
all day, man. If I can
Yeah.
spread some love out here, and I'm in it.
So, Wendee,
Yes.
how come you wanted to come on the podcast? What made you decide yes? If we're
Mm,
doing a round
I
robin
don't
on
know. I
this.
was kind of. Can I just say one thing? Like a recap of, like, to end like where I came from. I
Of
mean,
course.
I just like to say that, like, I think, like, the recap of like 32 years, like, my sponsor wants me to, like, forget, like, not talk about my 32 years clean and just talk about today. And I ain't ready for that. I mean, she wants me to share right where I'm at. And I have friends that say, bullshit. I mean, I ain't even through all 12 steps yet. And it's really hard for me not to bring up, because I do have a lot of knowledge. It's hard to let go, especially like when I'm in a business meeting or something like that, because the traditions and the stuff that I've learned, right? So,
She's
you know,
Mama
I,
Bear in our meeting. She is Mama Bear. She sits up there. I'm
y-
talking. It's and just she didn't have to say much, but she takes it on when she needs to. It's amazing.
but the part is that, I'm just going to say that I think I got clean for my kids, to get them grown, because of guilt and shame of, getting my kids grown and repairing those relationships. But I'm coming back here for me this time. This is my time. And that's what I'm learning through my steps now, is that this is for me, for my life, and I came back for me and for my life. That's what it is for today. Is
Mm.
for me and for my life, so that's the difference, that I want to live long. My dad's 92 years old. I have the potential to be old in this program. I don't know that I have 32 years again, but I got today. You know what
Don't
I'm saying?
discount it. Don't discount it. I'll give you my
I'm
stem
just
cell
saying.
doctor's number.
I'm just saying, I got today. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But just for today, I'm here and I'm going to kick ass.
I don't think that there should be any discounting that 32 years. Like, even 32 years, then a relapse. Like, there's a lot of people. Like, okay, I came into the program at 51. I have to live to be 83 to get to 32 years. Which I've got some genes in there too that, like I'm hoping that I haven't damaged myself too much. But I definitely don't think you should discount it. And I think it's definitely, I think the entire story is a story of hope.
Well, yeah. I mean, I came back
Like,
at 63. So if there's anybody out there that's in their 60s, you can do it too. I mean, that's
Hold
what I'm
on,
yeah.
pain
saying.
ends. Hold on, pain ends. That's that
So
hope.
I'm just saying.
But I mean, like, first of all, the program and you got you 32 years. That
Right.
is that is that's big to me.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, you
That's a
can't you,
diamond.
you can't
That's
be
a
like, that's
diamond.
worth nothing. We're looking at 7 months, or or
Yeah.
That's a foundation. You talk about a foundation.
but then also just the fact that even though the addiction lurked and lurked and lurked and took you out again, you
Yeah.
made it back. Like,
Yeah.
you made it back, and and look at you.
Yeah.
You're smiling. Your hair's glistening. You're like, "Woo!"
We
Yeah.
talk about people
Best
that go.
hair on the
We
show
talk about
today, Evan.
people, dude, on not today, maybe
Yeah,
of all time, maybe of all
yeah.
time. We talk about people that go out for like 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years and then go back out. It takes some real moxie, Wendee, to go out to be clean for 32 years and to go back out and then to come in here and show face and be like,
Yeah.
look, I'm back. Because I can't, it makes my stomach cringe thinking about doing that. So that takes a lot of strength and courage, man.
Yeah.
Like a
I didn't
lot.
want, like I told you, I didn't want to come back.
Wow.
Can,
Wow.
can I ask one question?
And
And
you
I
know
know,
what? Nobody did not judge me. I was so loved by everybody. There was
And
not one
that's what our
person.
problem is. We think people are going to judge us.
I thought,
mm,
I thought somebody side-eyed me in the program around here. Everybody loved on me. Everybody in person
mhm.
loved, everybody loved on me. It was me. It was me that did that. Through working my steps, it was me. I had to
Yeah.
love me.
Yep. Yep. I always say I don't have a problem with drugs. I have a me problem.
Yeah,
It's not
it
a
was
problem with
me.
drugs.
That's all.
Yep.
It's always us.
It
Always is.
always,
Yeah.
always. So everywhere we go, we are. There we are, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere we go. And okay, in addition to the mental health and the health issues that happened, I'm asked this question, and please don't get mad at
Yeah,
me
it's
for asking
fine.
it. Do you feel complacency had any part in that?
Oh, that was my question. I was getting ready to say, to answer this question, because complacency keeps us from goodwill, love, and compassion, right? So that I was literally going to ask that question about complacency.
I wish I had complacency back then. I was doing too much.
Okay. Yeah.
And so today my sponsor says I'm supposed to only sponsor 2 people and do 2 service commitments. I am actually doing 2 Zoom commitments and 2 in-person meetings. So I'm actually doing, so I'm doing,
Kind of 4, but
yeah, kind of 4.
but some at home 4.
Nobody's counting. Nobody's counting.
No.
So, but actively sponsoring like 2, one in person and one in the UK. So,
Yeah, I've
Awesome.
got 5 right now, and that's my max. Like, it's my wife is like, nope, but like, that's it. And
I
I'm
have
like,
2. Yep.
I'm like, this is. But the last 2 that asked, I really loved them, and I couldn't say no. And
Yeah. Yeah.
but I have said no since. So I do have a boundary that I'm actually paying attention to on that front, and and I think it's. I think.
Sometimes I'll say temporary sponsor until they get one. I mean, if I go over,
I hate that.
but
I don't like that phrase. Temporary sponsor, because like, what are your intentions, right?
I'm
Like,
kind of really here for you.
sponsor. Yeah, either here or
well,
not.
I would
Like
be there for 'em.
like a accountability partner, maybe.
Yeah.
I have 2 sponsees now, and I would do anything for them.
Mm.
But I, with the complacency thing, I try to battle complacency with consistency. Right. If I'm consistent in what I'm doing, like if I'm doing it, I'm going to be consistent at it. Because there's something really magical that happens when you add consistency to the mixture of this whole recovery thing.
Mhm.
When we stop being consistent, shit goes awry really fucking fast, man.
Yeah.
Like we can be fucking on a light rail quick and
Yeah.
not know how the fuck we got there, wind up on somebody's roof with a concussion. I say that because it's a real story that happened to a friend of mine, right? Before we know it, he's 60 days clean and he's a county over on somebody's roof and falls off the roof. Didn't even know how he got there. Had a concussion, like wild shit. We can go there quick. So I gotta stay consistent, Wendee, Milan. I
Yes.
gotta stay consistent.
Yes. I mean, just to follow up though, I mean, I still have a therapist. I still do like
Preventive maintenance.
meditations. I do meditations. I even do breath work today. I'm very active in breath work, and
I'd love to have a
also-
meditation meeting with her, because if you can meditate, teach me, please. Because do you
Yeah.
meditate, Milan?
You know what? I actually just did 2 guided meditations before this
Can y'all
episode.
expand on that real quick, or is that too much?
Literally, man, I just play a thing on YouTube, and then I get to go to another place. And I just started. Like, I'll send you the link for the one I did.
Please, both of y'all, please.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I realized, in addition to complacency, it can also be an incomplete program. Like, you can't pick and choose parts of this program, they say. And I realized that I was not meditating other than my music, which I do think is meditation, but I wanted to make sure that hole wasn't there in my program. And seeing how I got recovery fever, like I'm burning up, I love it. I wanted to fill that hole. And so I actually went to a Dharma recovery the last 3 weeks just because they have a nice guided meditation in their meeting. And then I've been listening to some. And, I've actually done it before now, 4 of these episodes, right before. And it's a great way to just be like to the day and to my heart, you know?
Wow. I like looking up loving kindness.
Mm-hmm. I like loving and kindness.
They guide you through just a breathe in and a release, because it says in our literature that this needs to be part of our program. It actually is in the literature, and that's something that I'm lacking at, is the meditation part. It's uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, there's even an app on that you can download, Simply Being app.
We should start doing one with our guests before we start.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Like a quick guided meditation.
I could play it right here. We all just sit in our chairs and then come out of it. Just like
I did one too.
And people who are listening can meditate in with us, right? They can meditate. We will invite them in to meditate with us. Y'all need to teach me how to do it before we do it, though. I need to know how to do it.
No, they literally give you the instructions while they're doing it.
I know. I'm just follow instructions, young man.
Yeah. We'll do it in a Zoom meeting.
That's right.
I've done some release meditation where you breathe in the problem and release release in with the problem, kind of release it, and that's about as much as I've gotten on the meditation. Prayer, I mix meditation and prayer together.
It's just a slight expansion on that in a massive way.
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I'm ready. Need it.
Yeah, you needed it this morning. It's Friday, though.
It is Friday.
2 days.
Been of service today. Yep.
I like making you smirk.
That's my lady right there. I love Miss Wendee. She comes into our meetings, man, and she just has a calm coolness about her. And there's been a lot of like swirls of just people who, let's say some of our friends that might have a problem with relapsing and things like that, and she just cool, calm, and collective.
I always have a candle lit too. I always light a candle.
multi candles. Very zen like. But yeah, so look, and I wanted to touch on this. New frontiers are open as we learn how to love. Love can be the life flow from life can be the flow of life energy from one person to another. By caring, sharing, and praying for others, we become part of them. Through empathy, we allow addicts to become part of us. What do you think about that statement, Wendee?
Gotta have empathy. Love is what brought me back to the program. I felt so much love at that first meeting. That's why I came back. I had a bottle in my freezer and I came home and I called while I was talking to this guy that was in the other fellowship. And I go, how do you quit drinking? Because I wasn't even a drinker, not really. I didn't know nothing about it because I had so many years, right?
Do you want to tell us about the back rub and all that stuff real quick about how it kind of got to that point? Or we don't have to.
I don't mind. Yeah, because of my back surgery, and then I had a second.
You were 32 years clean, and then the back surgery happened. Yep.
Yeah, right near the end, and no, I ended up getting sliced in my back, and my grandkids called it my long butt crack. It was way up high, up above my underwear, and no, they sliced me on the front too. Like they flipped me over like a side of beef and cut me sideways on my stomach. Anyways, and then I had another one, and no, somebody, a lot of like circuit speakers and stuff were talking about, oh, try this CBD on Amazon or whatever. And then I tried some CBD and then found out it had THC in it. And I was like, what the frick? And
everybody listen up here.
It had THC in it. I was like, what the heck? And then I thought, well, my daughter had this tincture with the eyedropper. I said, well, screw it. And I took some of her tincture shit. And she was pregnant with twins and on bed rest. There was problems with the baby. So I had to take care. I was taking care of everybody but me. And so I used her tincture, and she was a pot smoker the whole pregnancy and shit. And after that, then I'm smoking weed with my kid. That's how it was cunning, baffling. And then one day she had these Otter Pop things in the freezer, like little Kool-Aid icy things. And I went and had one. It was strawberry. It tasted so good. Then I looked on the wrapper. It says 10% alcohol. Next thing you know, I'm drinking a fifth of tequila, Patron, a day in the freezer. I'd be drinking. I get it from the store. I'd always get it like cold in the freezer. I never was a drinker because I had a bad liver. I did have the interferon twice to save my life in '93.
That disease progressed so quick, didn't it?
It was like within 2 weeks that happened.
You didn't even know, and you didn't even know it was happening.
No, it just fucking took
32
off.
years clean.
And
crazy.
I wouldn't even get home, and I'd be sucking off the bottle. I wouldn't even have it in a shot glass. I'd be going like this. And so I get home from that meeting, fast forward to the meeting, and I'd have it Instacarted. And I was always mad I couldn't get cigarettes that way. But I could get booze, right?
You'd run out of smokes.
You're like, what the fuck? I could get
tequila.
One without the other? Come on, man.
Yeah. So and I could get it from the places that would be cold. So I get home from that meeting and I got this bottle of tequila in my freezer, and I'm like, what the heck? And I talked to this dude that I kind of fancy. I still kind of fancy him, but anyway, so I texted him. I say, how do you quit drinking? Because I don't really know. I'm not asking nobody in the meeting that I was just asked. I don't, because I'm just like curious because I got this bottle hanging, right? And he goes, you just, what do you say? Decrease. And I was like, decrease? Like I'm an addict. How do you decrease alcohol?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that. I guess he could tell I was like, what the? I go, WTF? I text him. So he calls me. And I go, will you stay on the phone while I dump out this bottle? And he said, yeah. And so I dumped the bottle down the drain.
Yay.
And then what happened? And then you just came back? That's amazing. That's amazing. So your that higher power kind of took back over you, man, because as JJ said, the peckerhead got you for a little while, right? Little peckerhead came in and took you over
I
for a
just
little while.
couldn't dump it by myself.
Yeah, and that goes to show the power of having somebody else helping you be accountable, because it's really hard to argue with ourselves, guys, especially as an addict. It's so fucking hard when I have one side of my brain selling bullshit and the other side is consistently buying it. And when I'm selling it to myself in my own voice, I can't say no. We can't say no as addicts. I think it's not said enough.
Yeah, but 2 days later, I was in the emergency room because of detoxing off alcohol.
Seizures. You can have seizures.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
Did you have some? Did you go through that? Or wow. Damn, Wendee.
I didn't
Damn,
even know
Wendee.
I could.
Bless your heart.
How long did that last for?
I don't know. My daughter goes, you probably need to go to the hospital. So she took me to the hospital.
Wow.
Wow.
Bless your heart, Wendee.
So they gave me something for my stomach and something for diarrhea, and they gave me Narcan. It kind of offended me. I was like, but then I thought, oh, that'd be handy if I see somebody,
Yeah.
on
I
the
have some in my
street.
house.
Yeah,
some
I
in my
have it
house
in
right
my
now.
car, in my house. I gave my granddaughter some,
Yeah.
they had
Yeah.
it at a convention, so I got some from there too. But and then they gave me something to calm me down, anxiety medicine to
Oh,
calm me down, because my chest was like really
I'm
anxious.
so grateful you found your way back, Wendee. I'm so fucking grateful you found your way back. You have been such a vital and important person in my recovery. You're such an amazing you're an angel. You're an absolute angel.
Yeah,
So
so
thank you.
yeah. I wasn't educated on alcohol at all, because I was a dope
You don't
shooter
know what you
in
don't
the
know. Yeah.
20s.
Yeah.
I had
Plus
no
it's
idea.
legal. Plus it's
Yeah,
legal, right? It's legal. You can go
yeah,
buy it at the store. Come on.
yeah. Like, I wasn't educated in alcoholism really, because I knew people, but
When you were in the program for 32 years though, and would you read this literature and it says did it say alcohol was a drug?
of
I'm
course,
just so, but you just kind of it didn't really
blah
like.
blah blah.
Not
Yeah.
my
Look,
problem.
hey, I'm working at convention. Come on. But it's just like that's how cunning, baffling, and insidious this disease is. It
Yeah,
can
it
have
is
us
awful.
32 years clean off the foundation blocks that we're reading off of, and then you hit the bottle one time and you're done. You're fucking done. Didn't even know it was a problem, even though you're reading it
From
every
a
night.
popsicle,
Off a
from a
popsicle.
took a popsicle.
Off some back rub that you didn't even think. Come on. That's like
Yeah,
y'all, we have to be complacency. It kills. You have to stay consistent.
yeah.
Gotta stay consistent.
In-person meetings. Yeah, I love being in person. The intimate part of one addict hugging another. I mean, I like that. I was
I like
used to
that
that.
a lot. I like that a lot
It's
too.
love.
I
It's love.
missed it. I missed the hugging,
Yeah.
intimacy part.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
missed
Yeah.
it. But, I mean, I was stuck with my daughter being pregnant and locked down, and yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I learned a lot, and now I'm more flexible with the program. The mental health piece is really important.
She pushes it a lot in our meetings in a way where it just gravitates into her message, and I'm really,
Yeah.
really grateful for her for that, man.
Yeah. I mean, people really need to talk about it. It's okay to talk about.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Like with addiction, I think that just the addiction itself can leave some mental health problem residues, like psychosis and
Hmm.
depression and anxiety and all of that.
Hmm. Right.
And so when we're coming into recovery, is there something that you're doing with exercise, supplements, certain foods, or sleep that you would recommend overall as somebody implementing into, part of their recovery in a way that, like I'm not talking like everybody's going to kind of have maybe a specialized caterized thing, but is there something that you found for you, either some kind of movement, some kind of supplement, some kind of food or sleep practices that have really helped you?
Oh, I think definitely, I mean, I take vitamins, all kinds of,
Can you say which ones that you feel do what? Of
oh,
like having,
definitely
yeah,
B12,
yep.
vitamin C, vitamins for my age group, calcium, I take B12 injections. I mean, for my age, go to a doctor regularly, I take care of
Get a
my health.
checkup.
Yeah, I mean, I get my whatever shots I need. I mean, see a doctor regularly. First of all, that's the main thing. And take care of yourself. I mean, drink water. I have dogs I got to keep up with, and they're my passion,
So
and
you walk your dogs once or
yeah,
twice or three times a
yeah, I
day?
got 3 dogs and 3 cats. I got to keep
Yep.
up with them.
She
So,
Okay.
stole my dog's name. She came in there
yeah,
and
I got
stole my dog's name.
yeah,
Nala.
yeah, I got a
Love
Nala,
Nala.
a Empress, and a Lennox, a golden retriever. So they got to be walked. So, but I also like yoga and breath work.
There you go.
Breath work. It's even on WhatsApp. There's a
What's up?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. It's WhatsApp, Wendy, not
Yeah,
what's up.
that.
What's
We
up?
we talk what's up. Hey, look, and breathing controls our thoughts, Wendy. There's studies that
Yes.
are done. Look, when we get in a social situation, I'll keep it on me. Like we don't even know it, and our breathing stops, and then we wonder why
Yes.
we're so like tense and all that stuff. If we just concentrate back on our breathing controls our thoughts, and they go hand in hand. We don't even know it that we stop breathing. Look it up. We
Mm-hmm.
don't know it. We stop breathing.
Well, yes, what I learned about myself a long time ago in recovery is if somebody offended me, I would stop breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would instantly stop breathing instead of I would feel myself not take it in, like
Yeah.
I wouldn't process it. And then I'd have to connect it to my brain. It's like
Yeah.
stuff you learn in recovery.
It's almost like you're protecting yourself because it's like I
Yeah.
don't like let this stop now. Hold my breath. Like it's like a Zach Morris moment. Time out.
Yes,
Time out
before
on a
you
second.
even connect it with your brain. Yeah.
Yes.
I notice that when I'll catch myself gasping
Yeah.
after that point. I'll be like, whoa. And I'm like, holy
What
shit.
just
Like, how
happened?
long
Yeah.
was I just
Mhm.
holding that breath for?
It's
You
about
know,
Yeah.
awareness
but,
with
Yeah.
but,
yourself.
I
Awareness.
know that, from smoking for a long time, feeling damages from that, but now not smoking and kind of, on a regenerative phase. I'm 8 months right now and I'm still feeling
Good.
benefits, but I can tell when I'm not getting enough oxygen and I can feel it in my frontal lobes. Like it's almost like a lightness
Mhm.
or it almost feels coated there when I'm not getting enough air. And when that's happening, I'm not making my best decisions. Like
Hmm.
I've seen enough of the results. The experiments
Mhm.
run a few times. And I'm like, oh, okay, I need to stop. I need to catch up on my air.
Mhm.
I could talk too much, I could sing too much, or hold my breath too much in a situation like that.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I also think it's good to find a hobby, like something
I've got
outside
a
it,
hobby.
Yes. Yes.
anything, just that's something fun that has
Something you
nothing to do
used
with
to
it.
do or something new. Either
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
find
Find a
something.
passion.
Yes.
Find
Yeah,
a passion,
gotta
not just
have,
a hobby, but something
Yeah.
that gets your
yeah,
heart,
something
Yep.
that, yeah,
something
something
that
new.
brings you joy and
Yeah,
serenity.
a
Yep. Try
passion.
something new. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It means you're trying, right? Make a
Yeah.
mistake. They're doing
Hmm.
something fun.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hmm. Find something to do, like make a goal list from like
Yeah.
today on the next 6 months, or something.
Yeah, yeah, they have diamond art painting. Yeah, that's what they did. We did in rehab. Yeah, like diamond art, anything art, coloring. Coloring is
Paint
therapeutic.
rocks.
Paint rocks.
I like that.
I did paintings for all my
My
family in
mother paints
treatment.
rocks.
In treatment,
Hi,
I
Aunt
did all
Vicky.
these
I love my aunt. I
paintings.
had to say hello to my aunt Vicky. She wants to say hi. I want to say hi to her.
Hi, Aunt Vicky. We love
Yes,
you.
yes.
Woo! Shout out to Aunt Vicky. Yeah.
She's the best.
Well, that was certainly
That
wonderful
was fun.
having you here today, Wendy. And
Thank you, Wendy.
is there something you'd like to say before we close out?
Um, no, I think I'm good.
Okay, well,
so.
I really enjoyed having you.
Thank you, Wendee. I
I hope
love
that
you.
somewhere in
I
the
love
future
you.
you'd be happy of coming back, and because I guarantee you'll probably leave the episode and be like, I think that there's something else I would like to say to
Oh,
you.
I know.
I know,
I
but guess what? We're gonna be here, and you can come back.
We're gonna bring you back.
All you got to do is give us another topic idea,
Part
and
two,
yeah, that's
the
right.
second installment of
Absolutely.
Wendelicious.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't want to look at the other one because then I thought, oh, let me do this or do
And look,
that.
you're gonna have your own background next time, Wendee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
I
and
I
I have an idea for something, but I'll
okay.
tell you later.
There we
Okay.
go.
Yeah,
There we go.
All right.
I certainly love both of you.
Love
And I
you.
love everybody out there. And I'm really grateful that you came in today, Wendee. I think, gosh, that was the first time I had a tear on this episode. And I need to cry more. So I liked that.
Thank you for being vulnerable today,
Yeah.
Wendee, and being here with us.
Always.
Okay, if you liked what you've seen here, please subscribe and share this podcast. We're looking for interaction with our audience, so please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or
Recording.
contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you. We're hoping to create slideshows of the Freedom Rising in your lives. Please send any photos of you flourishing in your life as a result of your recovery. Tune in next episode for more recovery fun. See you later, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Yeah.